Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank you for joining us this Saturday morning. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to ask for your input. One of the things that Gina and I have been working on is a general health presentation that we can do as a live presentation. We'll also record this, but we'd also want to do a live presentation. And our goal is to start this in the new year, the second week of January. It would be a Tuesday night. We want to do a live health webinar, and we want to have a presentation that is generic from the standpoint that it's going to help introduce people to the importance of the endothelium and how it needs to produce nitric oxide to improve their cardiovascular health. And the goal of this webinar is to have you feel comfortable enough that you would want to invite your potential customers or customers that you have so that they can better educate themselves on why they need L-Arginine Plus. So what we're going to do this morning is I'm going to actually go through the presentation with you, and then at the end of this presentation we'll open up the call so that you can be able to give us your feedback. And we want this to be the best health webinar that we can put together so that we can really help your customers as well as ours to understand why they need this product for their cardiovascular system. So I'm going to go ahead and start this. It's called The Secret to Cardiovascular Health, and I'm going to treat it just like if we just came into a live webinar. Here we go. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar entitled The Secret to Cardiovascular Health. You may have been invited by a friend, or you may have registered for this webinar through one of our online links. We want to thank you for attending. Over the next 20 minutes, we're going to share with you one of the major keys to helping you or a loved one achieve good cardiovascular health. This is life-saving information, and at the end of this presentation we'll have a Q&A time to address your questions. My name is Dan Hammer, and we've specifically titled our webinar The Secret to Cardiovascular Health because 95% of the adult population has never heard of this life-changing information. Yet the reality is this is not a secret at all. Or at least it shouldn't be. Why? Because the 1998 Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded to 3 American researchers who discovered how this organ in your body actually determines most of your cardiovascular health. When I say this, people think I'll be talking about their heart. While your heart is critical to your health, there is another organ that actually plays an even greater role in determining your overall cardiovascular health and function. Before I reveal this organ, I'd like to ask you a question. How many people on this live webinar either have or know someone who has high blood pressure? If you do, then please click on the Raise Your Hand button in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Wow, there are a lot of hands being raised. However, your response doesn't surprise me. When I do live seminars, I usually see 75% or more of the audience raise their hand to this question because high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for a stroke or heart attack, and 66% of diabetics have high blood pressure. The other reason why I'm not surprised by your response is the following information from ABC News. In April of 2010, they reported that 45% of the American adult population was at significant risk for heart and cardiovascular disease. These 3 major areas that contributed to this risk are high blood pressure, cholesterol concerns, diabetes. According to the American Heart Association, 1 in 3 American adults have high blood pressure. According to Northwestern University, 63 million Americans have high cholesterol levels, of which 38 million are at risk for cardiovascular disease. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there are approximately 23.5 million adults with diabetes. However, what makes this disease a growing epidemic is that there are 58 million American adults in a pre-diabetic condition. This means that they have higher than normal blood sugar levels, but not yet high enough to put them in the diabetes category. When you add it all together, the American Heart Association estimates that 81 million American adults are at risk for cardiovascular disease. staggering numbers that also offer great hope when you understand there is one common factor to all these diseases. That common factor is your cardiovascular system. While most people concentrate on your heart as the central focus of cardiovascular health, I'm here to tell you that there is another organ that is equally important, and some believe even more important than your heart. That secret organ is called the endothelium. Your endothelium is only one cell thick, but it lines the inside of your heart, the insides of all your arteries, arterioles, venules, and veins. Your capillaries are just extensions of the endothelium. Scientists and researchers once thought this one cell thick lining was just an inner membrane that didn't have any purpose other than keeping your blood in the vascular system. But research over the last 10 years has shown the endothelium to be a multifunctional organ involved in metabolic, immunologic, and cardiovascular function. One of those functions is to convert the amino acid L-Arginine into nitric oxide, the master signaling molecule of your entire cardiovascular system. However, before we talk about nitric oxide, I'd like you to get a feel for how large an organ your endothelium is. It's estimated that there are approximately 60,000 miles of blood vessels in the adult body. Every blood vessel is lined by the endothelium. If you took out your endothelium and spread it on a flat surface, it would cover a surface volume of 4 to 8 tennis courts, depending upon the size of the individual. Your endothelium is the largest secreting organ in your body, and for many of you, tonight is the first time you're getting any in-depth information about it. Your endothelial cells perform several key functions in the cardiovascular system. The first is angiogenesis, or the formation of new capillary beds. This is necessary for wound healing and critical in helping to limit the damage from a heart attack or stroke. Your endothelium facilitates blood flow and is involved in both the prevention of blood clots through nitric oxide as well as helping your blood to clot. Your endothelial cells are the controlling factor in the regulation of your blood pressure. And your endothelium provides a specialized barrier function to regulate the passage of gases, fluids, and various molecules across their membrane. This plays an extremely important function for each organ as well as your immune system. Most vascular researchers now believe it's your endothelium that ultimately determines the health of your cardiovascular system. And one function of the endothelium is to produce a gas called nitric oxide. This is so important to your cardiovascular health that the 1998 Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded to 3 American researchers who discovered how your endothelium converts the amino acid L-Arginine into nitric oxide, the master signaling molecule of your entire cardiovascular system. One of these Nobel laureates is Dr. Louis J. Ignarro, who wrote a national bestseller called No More Heart Disease. I'd like to focus on the subtitle of his book. It says, How Nitric Oxide Can Prevent, Even Reverse, Heart Disease and Strokes. That's not me saying this. This is a Nobel Prize winner in medicine clearly stating to us that nitric oxide can prevent and even reverse heart disease and strokes. I'd like to read to you 2 short quotes from Dr. Ignarro's book. Though NO structure is simple, nitric oxide is now regarded as the most significant molecule in the body, absolutely critical to your well-being. I'm convinced that nitric oxide can age-proof your cardiovascular system, keeping it much fitter than your chronological age would indicate, end of quote. And the second quote is this, quote, now we can reverse cardiovascular impairment naturally with the body's internally manufactured wonder drug, nitric oxide, end of quote. Additionally, Dr. John Cook, the director of vascular medicine at Stanford University, published a book called The Cardiovascular Cure. Notice his subtitle, How to strengthen your self-defense against heart attack and stroke. Who wouldn't want to do that? Dr. Cook goes on to say, quote, "This book will introduce you to the magic that's inside your blood vessels. It comes in the shape of a molecule, one of the simplest molecules found in nature. This molecule is nitric oxide, or NO, a substance so powerful that it can actually protect you from heart attack and stroke. Best of all, your body can make it on its own. Nitric oxide is your body's own built-in natural protection against heart disease." End of quote. So let's have a brief review so that we understand the significance of this information. Your endothelium lines the inside of all your cardiovascular system. We've already covered some of its health-enhancing functions, but the one that earned a Nobel Prize was its ability to produce a gas called nitric oxide from the amino acid L-Arginine. Nitric oxide is the signaling molecule of your entire cardiovascular system and is absolutely critical for proper cardiovascular health and function. But before we talk about some of the specific functions of nitric oxide, I'd like to put this slide on the screen. 77% of Americans treated for a first stroke have blood pressures of 140/90, which is high blood pressure. 69% of Americans who have a first heart attack have blood pressures over 140/90. 74% of Americans with congestive heart failure have blood pressures over 140/90, and 66% of Americans with diabetes have high blood pressure. As you can clearly see, high blood pressure is a common ailment of all four of these cardiovascular health issues. Additionally, a blood clot formation that lodges in a vascular artery is usually the reason for a stroke or heart attack. The vast majority of these diseases are a result of endothelial cell dysfunction and its inability to properly produce nitric oxide. Here's why nitric oxide is so critical to your cardiovascular health. First, nitric oxide is your body's most powerful vasodilator. What this means is that nitric oxide causes the smooth muscle of your vascular wall to relax, which helps to keep your blood pressure in a normal range. That would directly affect the most common health risk we saw in the last slide. Second, nitric oxide keeps blood platelet cells from sticking together to naturally prevent blood clots, to reduce the #1 factor for strokes and heart attacks. Third, nitric oxide helps to repair damage done to the endothelium and keep it free from plaque formations and calcification. Plaque formations result in the disease called atherosclerosis, and calcification results in the disease called arterial sclerosis. If you go on the American Heart Association's website, they will state that 74% of all cardiovascular disease is related to atherosclerosis, plaque formations within the arteries, and arterial sclerosis, calcification or hardening of the arteries. Proper levels of nitric oxide help to prevent both of these issues. So how does your endothelium create this nitric oxide? Well, there are two important amino acids needed. They are L-Arginine and L-Citrulline. Your endothelium directly converts L-Arginine into nitric oxide, but it needs a certain level. Here's a direct quote from Dr. Gennaro. "My research shows that L-Arginine in doses smaller than 4 to 6 grams produces almost zero increase in nitric oxide. So it is in essence an all or nothing proposition. You must receive the full dose of L-Arginine," end of quote. For you to get what we call a therapeutic increase in nitric oxide, you need to consume 4 to 6 grams of L-Arginine at one time, or an average of about 5 grams. Additionally, you also need the amino acid L-Citrulline. While L-Citrulline doesn't directly produce nitric oxide, what it does is recycles L-Arginine so that your endothelium can continue to produce nitric oxide over an extended period of time. Again, according to Dr. Gennaro, it is the synergy between L-Arginine in a large enough dose and the L-Citrulline and the key antioxidants that create dramatic increases in your body's nitric oxide production. Without the proper combination of these nutrients, which so many other programs lack, you will receive little to no benefit from nitric oxide therapy. End of quote. Once people understand how critically important this is to their cardiovascular health, they typically want to know how they can bring these two amino acids into their body. So let's talk nutrition, for it's key to nourishing your endothelium. The first amino acid is L-Arginine, and as you can see by the PowerPoint slide, I've listed some common food choices in which to obtain this amino acid. Let me make a few general comments. Most research indicates that for you to receive a therapeutic benefit from L-Arginine, you need to consume at least 5 grams of this amino acid at one time. So I selected 6 food items that I thought would be common food choices. I did the math conversions to look at how much food you need to eat to take in 5 grams of L-Arginine, and I also looked at the number of calories and grams of fat it would bring into your body. As you can see by the slide, peanuts provide the smallest quantity of food, but they pack on 70 grams of fat and 918 calories. When you examine the slide, you can see that the 3 best choices are beans, tuna, or chicken breast. 1 can of beans, or 2 cans of tuna, or almost 1 pound of chicken are needed on a daily basis. This quantity of food is necessary to have a significant therapeutic effect on your endothelial cells and their ability to properly produce nitric oxide. For L-Citrulline, you only have one good food choice, which is watermelon. Unfortunately, 60% of the L-Citrulline is contained in the rind portion, which most people typically throw away. So unless you juice the entire watermelon, most people do not get adequate amounts of L-Citrulline to help turbocharge the endothelium's ability to properly produce nitric oxide. Which brings us to the question, is it better to get these amino acids through food or supplementation? If you choose supplementation, then one of the best is Progeny Plus from Synergy Worldwide. In fact, many believe it's the best nitric oxide supplement in the marketplace. It has been intentionally designed to help nourish your endothelium, to help it properly produce nitric oxide for improved cardiovascular health and function. Progeny Plus contains both L-Arginine and L-Citrulline at the needed levels to help turbocharge the endothelium's ability to produce nitric oxide over an extended period of time. In addition to the L-Arginine and L-Citrulline, Progeny Plus also includes the following ingredients: vitamins B9, B6, B12, vitamin D3, vitamin K2, vitamin C, D-ribose, grape skin extract, red wine extract, pomegranate extract. I'm not going to go into detail about each ingredient, but I would like to highlight 2, which will help you better understand the science that went into the design of this product. I want to highlight vitamins D3 and K2. You need vitamin D3 to help your body properly absorb calcium. You need vitamin K2 to help your body properly direct where calcium goes. Calcium is extremely important for your body, not just for bone health, but also for a wide variety of cellular reactions, one of which is the creation of nitric oxide. Let me use the following illustration to help you understand the importance of calcium in nitric oxide production. If you walk into a dark room and you want the lights on, you flip the switch on the wall. If you look at nitric oxide as the light, the wiring in the wall as the enzymatic process the endothelium uses to create nitric oxide, and L-Arginine as the electricity, then the switch is calcium. Calcium starts the reaction. Vitamin D3 and vitamin K2 help to regulate your calcium levels in your bloodstream so that this reaction can properly take place. The reason why Progeny Plus is so effective is because of the science and manufacturing expertise that has gone into the development of this product. Progeny Plus is manufactured by Nature's Sunshine Products and distributed by Synergy Worldwide. Nature's Sunshine is 40 years old. They're one of the most respected nutritional manufacturers in the world. Both Synergy and Nature's Sunshine have received the NSF good manufacturing certification, which means that they meet the highest standards in the nutrition industry for quality assurance and control. The manufacturing process to create the proprietary formulation of ProArgin Plus is second to none. A total of 262 tests are conducted along the various stages of manufacturing to ensure the highest quality and potency of the ingredients used. This level of quality is reflected in the people who are associated with this product. On the screen is Dr. J. Joseph Prendergast, considered by many to be one of the leading authorities in the world on the use of L-Arginine for the treatment of cardiovascular concerns. Dr. Joe has been using L-Arginine, L-Citrulline therapy since 1991 to help his diabetic patients experience phenomenal results. Dr. Joe contributed his 20 years of practical experience and research with the nutritional scientists at Nature's Sunshine to develop the ProArgin Plus formulation. What also makes ProArgin Plus unique in the nutrition industry is that it has clinical application and studies to back up its effectiveness. The High Desert Heart Institute is located in Victorville, California, and is considered one of the premier heart institutes in the world. In late 2009, they did a human clinical study using ProArgin Plus. In fact, it is the most complete and comprehensive human clinical study ever done on a nutritional supplement. This study involved 33 congestive heart failure patients who were all medically and pharmaceutically managed to the maximum. Over a 90-day period, these patients were given an aggressive amount of ProArgin Plus. By the end of 90 days, all patients had their medications substantially reduced. Dr. Siva, who is the director and founder of the High Desert Heart Institute, made the following statement in a recent interview. Quote, "What we ended up seeing was remarkable positive remodeling of the heart, positive pulmonary artery changes, pulmonary vascular changes in terms of pulmonary pressures, changes in the cardiac dimensions, changes in heart function," end of quote. Because of these remarkable changes to their patients, the High Desert Heart Institute uses ProArgin Plus as part of their standard treatment program for their patients, and they continue to do ongoing studies using this highly effective product. So what does all this information mean to you? Well, a healthy endothelium equals a healthy cardiovascular system. The health of your endothelium and its ability to properly produce nitric oxide can potentially reduce your risk for high blood pressure, cholesterol concerns, diabetic complications, and other cardiovascular issues. We believe ProArgin Plus can help you combat the negative effects of premature cardiovascular aging while helping you maintain healthy blood pressure and normal blood sugar levels. Since most of your life revolves around your cardiovascular system, any improvements typically result in improved cell, tissue, and organ function. Additionally, ProArgin Plus comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. When you factor in ingredients, price, quality assurance, clinical studies, and the money-back guarantee, ProArgin Plus has the best value and an extremely competitive price. This leaves us with a final question. Are you ready to experience the health benefits of ProArgin Plus by taking our 90-day health challenge with an unconditional money-back guarantee? If your answer is yes, then please contact the person who invited you to this webinar. They can assist you in your purchase of ProArgin Plus and help you properly start on this excellent product. Or you can contact myself or Jean LaValle. We've placed our contact information on the screen. We're part of a team whose mission is to help save 1 million lives. We'll work with you and your health care provider to help you properly nourish your endothelium for improved nitric oxide production. And if for any reason you're not satisfied with your results during the 90-day health challenge, then you can return all the product, used and unused, for a full refund. Now, we would like to open up this live webinar to your questions. So Jean, if you can open things up, and if we can see if we have any people that have questions at this time.
Okay, Dan, do you want to have people raise their hands, or do you just want to open all the mics?
Why don't we do the lines, because I think if we open up all, I've seen, have them raise their hand for questions, because if we open up all the lines, I think we'll get too much interference.
Okay, all right, we do have one question. Good morning, Lewis.
Hi, Dan and Jean. Good morning.
Good morning, Lewis.
Hi, how you doing? Listen, man, I have this lady that she has a problem with blood thinner, and she's very, very weak. And of course, I told her about the L-Arginine. She's one of my people that that you actually dealt with a couple of weeks ago. And but the doctor, is telling her that that the L-Arginine, would not help her in her situation. She's on all kind of blood thinner medication and stuff like that. What else can I tell her?
Well, a couple things, Lewis. One is what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I get this wrong, is she's on blood thinners for
Yes.
whatever reason, and
Right.
so her physician doesn't feel that this product would be of any benefit to her.
Right. What happened is it may harm her because of the things that's in it, the ingredients that's in it.
Okay. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I can't counsel you on this, but I'll tell you what I heard from Dr. Siva. And one of the things that you might want to do is pull off the interview that John Hewitt did with Dr. Siva. I think it's a 14-minute interview. It's on. You can find it, I think, in the Como Cardio website. If you don't find it there, you can go onto my YouTube channel. I have that interview up there.
Yes, I got it from you. Yes,
okay.
I got it from you.
Well, if you listen to that interview, one of the things that Dr. Siva talks about is that there really should be no issues, because as long as the physician knows how much product she's taking, he can always adjust her medications appropriately. So typically what gets physicians going is the fact that there's vitamin K. Well, this is vitamin K2 that acts differently than vitamin K1, but they see vitamin K, and so they're conditioned to look at vitamin K as not something that their patients can take while they're on thinners. And if you listen to the interview with Dr. Siva, he'll tell you that that really should be no issue. As long as the physician knows what a person is consuming on a regular basis, they can then adjust their medications appropriately. And again, understanding the science of what nitric oxide does, nitric oxide is a natural way of keeping blood platelet cells from sticking together. So when you're able to help nourish the endothelium properly for improved nitric oxide production, the nitric oxide is naturally going to do what that medication is trying to do, but without any of the side effects that that medication has. Typically, that type of medication can cause a person, if they get a cut or an injury, potentially bleeding out or having massive bleeding because their body can't properly coagulate, because again, it's interfering with the ability of the endothelium. So again, all I can suggest to you is providing information to both her and her physician, and then it's up to them to whether they want to take that information and act on it. And you don't have any control over that process.
Okay, I will send her the video.
Now, one of the things that thanks, Lewis. One of the things that we want to do is we would like to get your feedback on this presentation. This is the presentation that we're looking at using as a general health presentation on Tuesday nights that you can bring your prospective customers to have them listen to and understand the importance of addressing the health of their endothelium for improved nitric oxide production and how that will impact their cardiovascular system. So we would like to have your input on things in the webinar, in this live presentation, that either that you would like to see either changed or added to, or if you feel it's fine the way it is, that's great. But again, we want to have some of your input in evaluating what we put together.
Okay, Dan, Cindy has a question.
Yes.
Good morning, Cindy. Can you hear me? Cindy Westfall? You got your hand raised? Oh, maybe she's having some problems with her microphone.
Maybe she can type her question in then.
Yes, definitely, Cindy. Type your question in if you have one. Now Patricia has a question too. Good morning,
Okay.
Patricia.
Good morning. Is it, will we be able to see this webinar again? Unfortunately, I missed the first 7 minutes, and when I first sat down, something was said that brought up a question in me, but I cannot remember what it was.
Okay. Yeah, we are recording this, and we will have it up on our YouTube channel, plus we'll send out a Synergy Co-op update so that it will be in the update that people can actually log on. So they can either go, I would say most likely by Tuesday of next week, it'll be on my YouTube channel, and then also on Wednesday when I send out the Synergy Co-op, and maybe, Gene, when we also send out the next invite, maybe we can just do a separate one, because I know, Gene, on your email list there are some people that are not on mine. So maybe we can do, between my Synergy Co-op and your email list, we can just send out an email with the link so that people can watch this.
Yeah, no, that sounds great, Dan. I did get it wasn't a question from Cindy, but a comment. And she says she doesn't have a microphone, but she thinks it's a really great webinar.
Well, good. Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate it.
I have a question.
Patricia, did you have any more questions?
I did. How do we access your YouTube videos?
All you have to do is go to YouTube, and then in the search field, just type in Aging No More, A-G-I-N-G-N-O-M as in Mary, O-R-E, all one word, Aging No More, and that should take you to my YouTube channel.
Okay,
And
thank you.
that YouTube channel, just recently, I didn't do this, but just recently YouTube has decided to, and Google's changed their, I don't know why companies do this, but Google has changed their email, the way that they present their email information, and they also changed the way they present their YouTube, because YouTube is now controlled by Google. So my channel design has changed. I'm not sure whether I like it or not, but again, if people go to it, have been there before, you're going to see it looks differently than what it used to, and I didn't have any say in saying that. Google did it on me.
Okay,
But
does
you
anybody else
should-
have any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
I'm sorry, but you should be able to see all the YouTube videos that we have up there. There's about 75 of them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments or questions on this type of presentation?
Okay, Renee has a question.
All right.
Good morning, Renee. Renee? Renee appearing? No? No.
Maybe Renee
think
can
she
type it
can.
in then.
Yeah, type in your question. Annie typed in that she thinks that this is excellent. So we're getting some good feedback.
Well, good. Well, while we're waiting for Renee or anyone else with their questions or feedback, next Saturday we're going to do a similar type of presentation like this, except it's going to be for the business opportunity. Again, the design that we plan to implement starting the second week in January of 2012 is Tuesday night will be a general health webinar similar to what you just saw tonight, and at the end of that webinar we'll open it up to people's questions and answers, so that if you bring your prospective customers to that webinar, at the end of the webinar they will open up the lines, and then they can either type in or ask their questions specific to their issues, and we'll then address them as best we can, not being physicians. And the whole purpose of Tuesday night is to get people on L-Arginine Plus, to get your customers to start using L-Arginine Plus and feel that this is a necessary part of their health program. Excuse me. Thursday night, we want to do a business presentation strictly on having people come into Synergy worldwide from a business standpoint. So next Saturday, we're going to show you the business presentation that we've been working on. And again, we value your input on that. So Tuesday night, health, Thursday night, business, and then Saturday morning at this time, we'll continue to do our training. Specific topic each Saturday to help you learn how to implement it into your business strategy so that you can continue to grow your Synergy business. And that will be the format that we'll be carrying on starting the second week in January. I don't have my calendar in front of me, so I don't know what that Tuesday is. Let me look it up here for a second.
Yeah, my calendar ends in December too. I'm looking at my calendar. I don't know what that is.
We'll start this on January the 10th, which is the second Tuesday in January.
Okay, Dan, we've got a few more questions coming in, and
okay.
Renee is unmuted. Renee, can you hear me, or can you talk through your mic? Well, she thought that she had figured out the problem. So
okay.
Keep working on it, Renee. You're unmuted right now, so if you have a mic, you should be able to talk to us. There's a question from Janice. She wants to know, is this webinar going to be every Tuesday night, and will it change or be ongoing? Will there be a series on Tuesdays?
That's a good question, Janice. I think what we'll start out doing is the same webinar every Tuesday night because it's designed to get your people on product. What we may do, if we feel that that's not working as well as we would like, then maybe we'll go to one on high blood pressure, one on diabetes, one on cholesterol, and then one general one, and use that 4-week format on a rotating basis. So we'll just have to see the input from yourself and other people out there that are utilizing this as a tool to help grow your business. Your input will be valuable in making that decision.
Okay, real quick, Lewis said, I can tell you both that the webinars are always wonderful. Thank you, Lewis. Annie says, can we only view these webinars again through YouTube for those who have not seen any of your webinars? I think she wants to know if these are going to be recorded.
Two things, Annie. Yes, they're going to be recorded, and yes, they're going to be placed on a couple different spots. We're doing these webinars right now, re-recording them and branding them to Living Without Disease. And many of you on this call have websites from Bob Weeks' Living Without Disease. So they will be, my understanding is they'll be part of your back office on your websites that will have the ability for you to send people to your website, see it, and it won't be branded to Gene or myself. There won't be any information about Gene or myself on those. It'll be strictly an end slide with Living Without Disease. Now that goes back to Living Without Disease, and that's how Bob is branding it. So anyways, they'll be available there. They'll be available on my YouTube channel. One of the things that Gene and I are looking at right now is and we're not sure whether we're going to go with this yet or not, and it's going to evolve over time if we do go with it. But two things. One is I'll most likely put up a Synergy Co-op website that will allow you to have access to the videos that we've been creating, where you'll have an area on the website for health webinars that you can utilize, as well as there'll be an area that will only be accessible to you through a passcode where you can go into the Synergy Co-op and be able to go through the training material that we'll also put up there. And then we're looking at something from Talk Fusion that provides a, I don't remember the exact terminology that they use, but it's kind of like something that Facebook is now using. It's called a wall. And on the wall, you're able to post your videos on your wall. And so we'll most likely create through Talk Fusion a video wall in which we'll be able to have all these different videos. And then again, I'm not sure how that all access, but our whole goal is have multiple places where you can be able to access this information. And we plan to take this same webinar once we've finalized the small tweaks and changes we need to make to it. We'll then record this so that it will also be available to you 24/7, so that if you person can't get onto a live webinar to ask questions, you can at least send them a link to this webinar. They can watch it, and then you can do your follow-up with them.
Okay, Dan, we've got a couple more questions. I got a hand raised, and Sandy would like to know, do you feel that having a guy that is overweight on the slideshow might have some people think that they are in good shape and don't need the product?
I've got a guy who's overweight on this slideshow.
Yeah, the guy with the big belly sitting on the bench. I know which one she's talking about.
Well, let me go back to it. I think it's the most important slide to have for that one. At least that's my thinking, because this is that guy right there. Let me pull him up on the big screen. This is the offender, and the reason why this offender has hypertension, this offender has cholesterol concerns, this offender has diabetes, and this offender is one of the 81 million Americans who have cardiovascular disease because of this big belly right here. So yeah, I don't think a skinny guy that's in great shape would be appropriate to the current statistics. This guy who's overweight, sitting on a bench because he's inactive and he's most likely come from McDonald's is the reason why we've got all these health issues. So I kind of think this slide is kind of the picture is kind of appropriate to the slide.
Okay, we still have another hand raised too before I can get back to your follow-up, Sandy. Renee Perry says, maybe my mic is off. I'll just comment because my 2 questions have been answered. She says, great job. I look forward to coming to the presentation with guests. Thanks, Renee.
Thanks, Renee.
And Mary has a question. I'm going to unmute Mary. Good morning, Mary. Thanks for coming. Mary? Mary, can you hear me? Okay, she typed in, I personally like the depth of the information as someone who wants to promote the product. I do have some concern that potential clients may feel the presentation is too long.
I can understand where you're coming from, Mary, and if you think there's areas, because we'll put this up so that you can view it and watch it so that we have time. Yeah, if there's areas that you think we can shorten the presentation and still make it just as impactful, I'd be very much interested in having that perspective from anyone on the call so that we can have this to be the most impactful presentation in the shortest amount of time.
Okay, Sandy would like to follow up with the question of the gentleman's on the slide right now. I think I know where she's going with this. She says, Dr. Joe is in really great shape, though. So I think what she's saying is if you get people to the webinar with a picture like this, and I like the picture, I think that she's wondering if people are going to say, why do I need to get on this? I don't have all those problems on the screen. I mean, maybe you could address prevention.
Well, again, in looking at the format of what we're trying to do here, we're trying to present to the person the reason why they need to pay attention to their endothelium because of all these different risk factors and the sad reality that most of America is this person right here. You know, one of the statistics that I don't have up here because, again, it just keeps adding to the amount of information is that 2/3 of the American population are overweight and 1/3 are obese. Now this guy fits into both categories. He's both obese and he's overweight. And that's the sad reality of the American population. I could see if we were doing a health webinar that is designed for people who are in great shape and they want to continue to stay there from a preventative standpoint or they're looking to improve athletic performance, then this picture would not be appropriate for it. But again, I have to do some thinking, but my gut feeling tells me that still this picture is appropriate to what we're trying to do because most of the audience that's going to come to this is dealing with these types of issues. So if you come across, let's put it this way, if you come across with a slide that you think would be better picture for this, if you could send us a JPEG of it, we'll certainly consider it.
Okay, Dan, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second because Renee makes a good point. I think the picture is very effective. Most people believe thin people are in great shape, and we know that's a myth. I get that all the time because of my size, but because of the product, I've been able to lower my blood pressure. And I have to agree with Renee 100% that everybody was shocked that my blood pressure was high, and it was, you know, the highest they'd ever seen. So just because it's, you know, you think that you're thin and you don't need to go on it, that's a good argument that you may need it just to stay healthy, or you know, just because you don't have the outward signs doesn't mean that you're not going to be sick.
Okay. Well, maybe one of the changes that we need to make in the text of this is whether you're skinny or overweight, here's the current statistics.
Right. That's true. Sandy says that it totally works for her, but she was just asking.
Yeah, well, and I'll think about it because I do have some room up here, and I can always change the scope and size of the slide. Is maybe I can put a healthy person who's skinny, as well as this person here, and change a little bit of the text and introduce. It doesn't matter whether whether you think you're in great shape or whether you're not. Here are the current statistics, and do something along that line so that we can have the skinny people, or the ones that think they're in great shape, understand that they most likely still have some risk here.
Well, absolutely, as you age. Janice Smith says, very thought out presentation. I think it's amazing, very helpful way to share information. And then Annie goes on to say, this webinar really takes the pressure off of us to remember everything we need to give clients a very comprehensive. I think it is too. I do not think it is too long at all. Just right.
Again, I appreciate that, and when it's kind of like American Idol or X Factor. We need to have every one of us, once we get this rendered and up on YouTube, to go and re-watch it, because again, seeing it from other people's eyes other than my own will help me to understand that if there's information that we can cut that won't impact the message, then we can do that, because again, shorter is better than longer, as long as when you shorten it, it still has the same impact in getting people to take action. So, there's always that balance between how much information you give to a person. And the other thing is, the nice thing that Annie talked about is, yes, you can use this as a tool. One of the things that we talked about in the past is using the webinars as a tool, so that when you're talking to a person, and quite frankly, I strictly now focus completely on high blood pressure, because I've asked enough questions to my general audiences when I talk to them, or individuals. If you ask the question about high blood pressure, who do you know who has high blood pressure? Typically most people say, yeah, I know someone, or I have it. So it's really a question that can get you engaged with a person, so that you can say, well, would you then be interested in getting some information how you could naturally address that issue? And again, it's a question. It's a process of asking questions, so that you can then send them this webinar, or send them a webinar on the high blood pressure that we've recorded that will speak to their need, and then do your follow-up, because the webinar will do your validation for you. Then you need to do your follow-up to see how you can help them. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jean.
No, I just wanted to let you know that there's a lot of people that are giving feedback in very positive way. There's like 6 of them here. So thank you, everybody, for your positive feedback. And Renee actually says she votes to keep it as is. It's very informative. And then Sandy has one last comment, and I think it's cute. Maybe a cartoon with a skinny person with a logo that says, geez, I have high blood pressure too.
Sure, and if you come across that, send it to us. And that's the beauty about Google. You just go on and type funny picture, cartoon with high blood pressure, and see what comes up.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. I love this forum of everybody giving their feedback. Janice and I had our webinar last week where everybody kind of participated, and I think it's great to get the feedback from people everywhere that are distributing product, and what their ideas are and what they think will attract not only customers but business builders.
Any other questions or comments?
Not right now. Anybody
well, great.
Have a question or a comment before we finish? There's one more. Hang on a second. Mary, do you have a mic? Can you hear me?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
we can.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Okay, good. This is the first time I got the mic to work. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Great. Good
my question. Okay, I actually sent my question too, but now you can actually hear me. I was just wondering if we could somehow capture comments from people. I could ask some people to look at the webinar, and don't get me wrong, I think the information is great. My only concern is that we are all very interested in the product, and there may even be potential clients that have had more exposure. But if you have someone looking at this for the first time, I'm curious about, do they get lost at some part or that kind of thing. And that's all I'm looking at.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you, Mary. So if you want to test this with other people, and see, this is the nice thing that we can do with this, Mary, is as we continue to do these live webinars on Tuesday night, we can continue to refine the material so that and also the nice thing about this is that we can always go in and re-record this and take down the old video and put up the new one. So as you're talking about, Mary, testing so that we can get input, and continue to make changes and small subtle changes and refinement so that we have the best webinar possible. Yes, absolutely. You know, I'll give you an example. We're doing this stuff in Spanish now. I have a person who just came onto our team, David, and we're now converting our webinars. He's converting our webinars into Spanish, and then he's doing them in Spanish. And that's one of the things we did one on high blood pressure. We knew we had a couple mistakes in it, but he sent it out to some people to get their feedback. And so he knows that there's some things that he needs to make changes in, not just from the mistakes that were made, but some changes from the feedback that he got. So we're going to go, and we already had to redo the one anyways, but we're going to incorporate those changes into the next time that we go and record it. And so, yes, absolutely, I hear where you're coming from, Mary, and I absolutely agree.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Good
Okay.
feedback, good input.
We've got another comment from Sandy. It's a great recruiting tool. Would you do me a favor and look at this and give me your opinion so we can improve this presentation before we roll it out in January? I'm not sure if I understand what the question is. It's a great recruiting. Would you do me a favor and look at this and give me your opinion?
Yeah, if there's something that you want us to look at, Sandy, just send us an email. In fact, let me put our email addresses up here. Just send us.
Oh yeah, just tell a friend to get them to look at it. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Sandy. Yeah, yeah. You can, once we have the links up and once we have a place for people to go to see these, then we definitely would send friends or family or anybody that you know that might be interested in the information.
Yes, and then I'm not sure if you have the Send Video program that the Como Cardio group promotes and that, but yeah, there's a lot of, you can send a link in an email where they can then open it up to watch the webinar, or you can actually send the webinar in an email through the Send Video program. One of the things that we're looking at in Talk Fusion is that's one of the key things of Talk Fusion is you can actually send embedded in your email a video email to people where when they open it up, it is already embedded into the email that they received the video. So yeah, there's a lot of technology that is out there that will allow you to do what you're talking about. And again, go ahead.
She says it's a soft way of getting a friend to look at it where they are helping you.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and you could do it as easy as, hey, I came across this fantastic webinar that really makes a lot of sense to me because I've got family issues in this area. I want to share it with other people because it sounds like I've discovered something that can begin to change the health dynamics for my family.
Okay, there's no more questions or comments right now. If anybody else wants to raise their hand or type in a question or comment. Annie says, the Talk Fusion you mentioned, is that something we have to subscribe to?
It is, but again, we're not recommending it at this point in time. You don't
have to subscribe to it, though, Dan. I think it's something like GoToWebinar, where you just would sign in as a guest.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be able to use Talk Fusion the same way that we're using GoToMeeting, from the standpoint that guests can enter without being having to have anything to do with GoToMeeting or go with Talk Fusion. Same thing with GoToMeeting. You know, it's just a platform for getting your webinar out there. It's just that the Talk Fusion seems to have more versatility than what we have with GoToMeeting. We're not quite sure yet on the change, but it's something that we're actually looking at. So, and it's only from the standpoint of being able to have actually even more lines that are available to us than what we have through GoToMeeting. So, Well, if we don't have any other questions, then I want to thank everyone for being on today's call. Next week, we're going to do something similar, except it's going to be the business webinar to help you bring business people into your organization, to show them what we've got to offer and the power of what Synergy Worldwide can offer to them from a secondary income stream that could become their primary income stream if they build their program properly. So that we're designing right now, and we'll value your input on that webinar next Saturday. Anything else, Jean?
Nope, that's it. I just want to thank everybody for coming.
Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye-bye.